Clutch, gas, brakes. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go take it on the road. Hello YouTube, and welcome to Learning How to Ride a Motorcycle. Today we're going to be learning on a bug. 2006 Honda VFR 800. Definitely not an entry-level bike, but an all-around bike, and it's pretty much same as any other motorcycle you're going to get on as far as control, layout, and the techniques used to kind of get you going. You should kind of get yourself an area where there's, it's free of debris, free of anything you can really hit or run into, like a big old parking lot. And you're going to be doing like a lot of slow maneuvers. The first thing you've got to learn, though, when you get into motorcycling, is you have to learn where everything is in the bike. And that's day one. You should really read your owner's manual if you're unfamiliar with motorcycles, and really know what each button does and what each lever does and what each, everything that makes a noise or has a function. This is the hydraulic reservoir for this clutch. Your bike would probably have nothing that looks like that, but it'll have a lever and one single like bicycle cable that's really, really thick come out of it. Down here, there's a little round box. That is the slave cylinder that actually pushes a push rod that engages and disengages the clutch, which is on this side. The rod actually goes right through the motor. I'm giving you way more information than you need. Just know that this may be different on your motorcycle. The functionality is the same. You pull it in, the bike won't move. The bike will not move. The power that you deliver with your throttle will not go to the back tire. You can put it in gear. You can take it out of gear. You can put it in neutral. Once you put it in neutral, you can release it and the bike will stay still. All of your right side is going and braking. So you push down on this little lever down here with your foot, way down there. That one, that's your rear brake. This one right here, that's your front brake. So you can grab it and kind of rock around. You can feel how the front end wants to dive when you're on the front brake. If you step on the back brake, you can kind of rock around on it, and you feel how it doesn't dive as much because the bike doesn't want to move forward. You're actually locking the back tire from spinning under braking. If you grab both of them and kind of rock, the bike should be pretty well still. I mean, you'll move the suspension around a little bit, but you won't get the same amount of dive as you would just holding down the front. It's because you're locking those tires, and those tires actually wiggle a little bit when you're rocking on either the front or the rear brake. You got your stopping, and you're going. You got your going on the throttle. Your owner's manual tells you how to adjust this so it's properly adjusted. Make sure that it's adjusted properly. If it's too tight, you will rev the engine when you turn and put stress on that cable, either left or right. It depends on the bike. It depends on how it's been set up. There should be about a 1/4 inch of wiggle. See, there's like a seam in there. That's about a 1/4 inch from here to here where that seam is moving. That's the amount of free play you want. And then you'll start to feel the throttle open. You'll start to feel it grab. The position of your levers is very important. You do not want them to be up like this. You do not want that lever to be up flat because it's going to cause you to ride on your wrists. Even if you have a bike with handlebars, like a Harley or something like that, the further down your levers are, or the further, I would say, flat to slightly angled down your levers are, the more comfortable it's going to be for riding. Right here where it is, basically you want to just be able to have your wrist straight, lift up 2 fingers and put them right on there. Right there. Lift up 2 fingers on your brake, lift up 2 fingers on your clutch. That's where you want to be at. What else? Okay, this side controls the bike running. And this bike typically actually has a hazard light function. Most bikes don't have that. On and off. This is your emergency stop. This isn't one you should be using all the time. You should use your key all the time. Don't use this. You know why? Because this is a pain in the butt when it wears out to replace. This whole unit normally is what you'd have to replace that switch. The key is made to be turned on and off multiple times. So don't worry about wearing this out. That should never wear out on you. This will, however, wear out. You get your start button down here, exactly opposite of your horn. So it's basically down there so it's out of the way so you're not hitting it while you're riding. This is here so that way if someone is, if you, say, get in a wreck or you're in a situation where you quickly need to shut the bike off, you can just quickly hit it with your thumb. Riding from here, you could just palm it even if you have to. It's just a safety precaution. Always turn your bike on and off by your key. This side has all your lights. So your low beam, which is always on most motorcycles, there might be a switch next to it that says on off. That's your headlight. High beam when you aim it up. And your turn signals left, turn signals left, right, and cancel in the middle. Horn, all that good stuff. You've acclimated yourself to the motorcycle. You've sat on it for about an hour. You've played with all the buttons. If it has a center stand, put it on the center stand and just kind of like pretend you're riding. Put your feet up on it, get a good feel of where your body position is going to be, and just shift through the gears. Just click, 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 you know? Just play with it. You may have to roll the bike back and forth a little bit to get to engage in the gears, but just get used to the feeling of how it clicks the first time that you kind of feel how a bike's going to move. Grab the clutch, roll it backwards. Feel it between your legs, feel the weight of the bike. It's going to be hard to roll it forwards, depending on your size and everything. It's easier to roll it backwards because you actually have more leverage. Roll it backwards, okay? Let the clutch go. It's still rolling backwards because I'm in neutral. Touch the brake, okay? Put it down into first gear. Roll it backwards with the clutch. There may be slightly more resistance here because you're actually, the clutch plates are actually working with the oil in the motor, especially when the motor's not running. But anyway, you can still roll it backwards. Then you let it go. Oh, it's stopped. It won't work. So that's what it's like in gear and not in gear. Okay, so we're going to put it back in gear. Neutral. And we're going to start the motorcycle. So we're going to turn it to the on position, which there is on. Fuel-injected bikes will cycle. Sometimes it'll actually run through a dial check. But normally there's like a fuel injector light or there's something that comes off and off that lets you know that it's able to start. So now that it's off, I can start the bike. Do not worry about putting your feet on the pedals when you first start. Get comfortable. 2 fingers on your front brake. Pull your clutch all the way in. Shift it into first gear. It may clunk. That's normal. Slowly release the brake. Not touching the throttle, not doing anything. I have this in a position where 2 of my fingers are behind the lever and 2 of my fingers are on the lever, and I'm not going anywhere. If your bike is not adjusted that way, it's a smart idea to adjust it that way, just for ease of use while you're riding. So I'm in first gear, my bike is running, and I want to go forward. Leaving both my feet flat on the ground, you know, kind of hovering a little bit, getting that balance. I'm going to kind of tippy-toe my feet, like kind of tap them almost. You know, just kind of feel the bike there. As long as you're not leaning over too far, I mean, the bike should pretty much stay where it is. So you kind of feel that lightness, and then when you're comfortable, start slowly releasing the clutch. You should not have to add any gas. It'll just start kind of putt-putting itself. Right now you're just dragging the clutch. You're just feeling the bike move. So right now I'm kind of walking the bike along slowly, you know, 1-2 miles an hour. Just kind of walking the bike around. What you don't want to do in this situation is don't try to turn. Try to do this in a very straight line. Okay? Alright, when you're ready, pull the clutch in, pull the brake. Okay, stay there. Bring your left leg up, shift it up into neutral. Disengage the clutch, disengage the brake, and roll backwards. Walk it backwards. Okay? This is for a complete novice who has never had any experience on a motorcycle. You know, this is one of the better ways to kind of get acclimated to the weight of the motorcycle and maneuvering the bike. Down into first again. This time I'm going to add a little bit of throttle. Okay? You're gonna go through that process a lot. Basically, spend a good 10-15 minutes just doing that. Just letting the bike kind of take itself, and you're just kind of walking it. Okay? 1-2 miles an hour. 1 to 2 miles an hour. That's all you need. If you go too fast, just pull the clutch in. It'll come right to a stop. You can grab the brake if you need, but you shouldn't have to. Okay? Slowly, slowly let out the clutch. All right, there it goes. There it goes. Okay. Clutch is grabbing the bike. If you feel comfortable enough, put your feet on the pegs. Straight line. That's it. All right. Then pull on the brake. Put your feet down. That's it. Okay? Applying the brake and putting your feet down should be happening at the same time. You don't ever want to drag your feet, but at the same time, you don't ever want to come to a complete stop without having your feet off your pegs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around. I'm going to do the same thing, go in the opposite direction. Okay. So, shift it into neutral. Come to a stop. Stop. Okay. So now what I'm going to do again, brake, clutch, drop it into first. Slowly let off the clutch until I start going. Put my feet up on the pegs. I'm just cruising. And I can pull in the clutch right now if I wanted to, and nothing happens. So yeah, pull in the clutch. I can let the clutch go. Oh, there it goes. And I'm only going to go like 7 miles an hour, 7 or 8 miles an hour. I'm not going to go very fast. Now if you get comfortable in a turn, while you're going this slow, left is left, right is right, okay? While you're in a parking lot, left is left, right is right. Right, left. And you can kind of go in a circle. You know, just get, and I'm not touching the, I'm really not using the throttle. I'm just using the clutch. I'm going to tap the brake a little bit because I'm going too fast through this debris down here. But just using the clutch, let the clutch go, pull the clutch all the way in, you slow right down. If you feel like you get under 2 miles an hour, put your feet out, grab the brake. In first, let out the clutch slowly, put my feet up on the pegs, and just start, and if I feel nervous, just pull in the clutch. Just kind of, you don't have to pulse it, but you just give it a little bit, and then let it go. Like, pull it right in. Give it a little bit, let out a little bit, let out. Now, right now, my clutch is let all the way out. I'm not touching my throttle, and I'm just cruising around at 6 miles an hour. Slow turns, slow turns. I'm just touching my bar ends right now just to show you guys that I'm not touching any of my controls right now. The bike is just taking me for a ride. I'm just in first gear, putting along. Some bikes have enough torque to do this, some bikes don't have enough torque to do this. This is really just me goofing around, showing you guys how easy this is. You know, how easy the bike takes over. You can use your rear brake to slow down. You can grab your clutch all the way in, tap your rear brake a little bit. It'll show you the difference between your front and rear brake. But basically, that 6 mile an hour stuff, that's where you want to live. Don't even touch the throttle. Don't even touch the throttle. Once you get a little bit more advanced, then you can worry about touching your throttle, okay? Right now, that's just slow parking lot maneuver control. That's just getting your motorcycle moving. So if you've mastered the beginning portions of getting your bike going, right now what we're going to do is getting your bike going faster. Nothing to be worried about. This is where, you know, a lot of people can freak out. They get whiskey throttle. The whole point of this is to make sure that you are relaxed, okay? Remain relaxed. Do not clench your hands together. You know, when you get your legs up on the pegs, try to squeeze the bike a little bit with your legs to kind of keep yourself upright. Don't get really grabby, okay? Keep your hands loose. Stretch out your hands a little bit. Keep them loose. Keep everything loose, okay? Right now I'm in first gear. I'm going to start my bike in first gear. You can do that. You might feel a little jerk. Just leave your clutch in. You might want to even start it with the brake if you want to. That's fine. So right now I'm in first gear, all the way down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rev the bike up to about 2,000 RPM. You can rev it up to like 3,000 if you want, but that's a little high. So 2,000 RPM, just hold it there. Just get used to holding it there. I'm holding in my clutch and I'm holding the throttle at 2,000 RPM. Now when I let the clutch out, I'm going to let it straight out all the way. Okay? There. A lot smoother than it was when I just let it go on the ground with no throttle added. Right now I let off the throttle and I let off the clutch. Now I'm going to grab the clutch, come around the corner a little bit, give it a little bit more gas. Give a little bit more gas. About 2,000 RPM, 10 miles an hour, 11 miles an hour, that's all you need. Just enough to get used to it. Now what happens is some people are going to put a death grip on this, and they're going to come and they're going to, oh God, they're going to jerk it, and that's like the first thing that people do when they get on a motorcycle, is they start jerking that throttle and they don't know what they're doing. So make sure that you remain calm. Keep your throttle light. Keep your hand on your throttle. Basically, I'm only using the palm of my hand to spin my throttle. I am not like death gripping it. I'm just using the palm of my hand and my thumb to kind of create a little loop that's just kind of spinning that throttle. That's all I'm doing. Okay? The bike gets a little jerky, that's fine. If you get scared, pull in your clutch. Okay? Because I can hold it at 2,000 RPM, get nervous, and like, okay, I'll just pull in my clutch, hear how the bike revved, but I didn't go any faster. And it was a nice, smooth, controlled deceleration. So that's what you want to get used to. You want to just get used to adding a little bit of throttle. A little bit. Just a little bit. Just cock your... You don't even have to move your wrist. Just kind of like spin your thumb and forefinger together. That's all you need to get going. That's really all you need. Okay? So after you're able to do that, you should basically take your time in first gear and learn how to control your motorcycle. So in a minute we're going to get into shifting, but what I want you to do is I want you to learn how to do figure eights, and I want you to learn how to do slow parking lot stops and maneuvers. So right now a figure eight, in this clean section over here, actually, in this section right here, because it's almost as wide as 2 parking spaces. If you have a space that's wide enough as 2 parking spaces, you have enough room to do a figure 8. What you should do, slowly move around at like 4 or 5 miles an hour, turn your bike to the left, and then when you come to the middle, turn your bike to the right. Okay, look down. See where I'm looking? I'm not looking where I'm going, I'm looking where I want to go. Oh, I had to put my foot down because I got a little scared there. And I'm paying attention making a video. So I'm looking where I want to go. I'm looking up and away. I am not looking at the ground. I'm not looking at my gauges. I'm not looking at my motorcycle. I'm doing up and away. Alright? And if you feel like you're a little shaky or you're going too fast, that's fine. Just pull in the clutch. Just don't pull in the clutch while you're in a turn. When you get to this section here, just kind of pull in the clutch and calm down. Just be like, okay, whew, I'm done. I'm done, you know? Take your brakes in the middle. Don't take your brakes on the turn. Because if you try to hit your front brake while you're turned, the bike's going to want to fall on you, okay? Try really never to brake in a corner, especially doing slow parking lot maneuvers. Use your clutch to decelerate and use a little bit of back brake rather than using your front brake, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back and I'm going to start doing another loop. Now, I could feel like I could turn a lot sharper, but I feel like I don't have the stability. Now, my problem is that my body is still in the middle of the bike, while my bike is trying to go around a corner. Now, because of the way the bike is weighted, the bike wants to fall to the inside. So because the bike wants to fall to the inside, like if I'm turning right, it wants to fall to the right, I kind of want to shift my butt over to the left. Okay? Now while I'm coming to the left, I'm going to shift my butt over to the right a little bit, and it's much easier to turn. I'm actually almost at full steering lock. Alright, this car's coming in here, so I'm going to go over here and continue this. If I move my butt over to the left, I can turn right. If I move my butt over to the right, I can turn left. And I can turn a lot steeper than I could before, because now the motorcycle, and I'm not giving it any gas. I'm barely touching the gas. And I'm almost at full lock on my steering. So these are the things you kind of have to master before you get into the shifting of the motorcycle, okay? So you should really practice this day to day. You know, 30 minutes a day. It can get tiring. You'll get sweaty if it's in the summertime, so just make sure you're pacing yourself. You know, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. There's no rush to get going, honestly. It's just a matter of getting yourself acclimated to the motorcycle. These are things that I wish I kind of heard when I was getting going, because I basically got on a bike and was like, clutch, gas, brakes, okay, I guess I'm going to go take it on the road. And I just went right on the road. And, you know, I did have a couple accidents, so, but, you know, luckily enough, it was, you know, at slow enough speeds where I was, you know, just a low side off the side of the bike, but things you wish you knew when you started out, you know? So what we're going to do is keep it in first, rev it up to like 2, how we were doing before, get a little bit more throttle on it, 9 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, shift into second. That's it. Downshift again, let out the clutch. And just kind of do it in circles. Do it in big circles in the parking lot. Don't try to do your parking lot maneuvers in second gear. It will not work. It may work, but you're going to go either too fast or not have enough power, and you're going to stall the bike mid-turn. Okay? I'm in first gear now. I'm going to do first, second, third. Down to second, down to first. Just feeling how the gears work. I'm not trying to go fast. I'm not trying to get any speed. I'm just trying to get the gears to work. I'm just trying to feel the gear shift. That's all I'm doing. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to practice these exercises very carefully. Do not try to give it too much gas. You basically want to live below 3,000 RPM. When you start getting more comfortable and you're able to, you know, raise your bike up to 3,000 RPM and cruise around at 20 miles an hour in a parking lot, I mean, that's pretty fast, 20 miles an hour. If you're getting to the point where you're at like 15 miles an hour and you're like cruising around like this, you're dodging things in first gear, you're, you know, 11, 12 miles an hour, and you could feel the bike, you could flick the bike around, then you can move on to the next section. Until that point, you just kind of want to stay in the parking lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go onto the road. Now please make sure you master section 2 before you move on to section 3. So what you're going to do is you're at a stop. Rev up to about 2,000 RPM. Let the clutch out slowly. Add more gas. Slightly more gas. Slightly more gas. Slightly. There. Now you're rolling. Stop accelerating at about 5,500 RPM. If your bike's a little bit less powered than this and redline's about 9, stop accelerating around 35 to 4,000 RPM. So I'm just sitting here at like 55 going 29 miles an hour. I want to shift up. Clutch in, gas off, shift up. All in one motion, okay? Back on the gas. Clutch in, gas off, shift up. Again. Okay, now I'm going about 40 miles an hour in third gear. This road is 50 miles an hour, so I am going to speed up just not to piss people off. But that's the basics of it. I'm cruising. That's it. I'm cruising down the road. 50 miles an hour, 5,500 RPM, 5,400 RPM in third gear. Just cruising by. So to downshift, what you want to do is you want to pull in the clutch, let off the gas, push down on the lever, pull back slightly on the gas, and re-engage the clutch. So it's pull in, release, downshift, add a little more gas, let go of the clutch. And it happens in a split second. That's it, I downshifted. Okay? Now remember with shifting up, it's clutch in, gas off, upshift, gas on, clutch out. Gas on and clutch out happens at the same time. You kind of want to be smooth with it. Okay? Okay, see that? I barely moved my throttle hands and I just flicked it. To get used to how your clutch reacts as you're rolling, kind of just grab it. Just kind of grab it. See where it engages and disengages. When you brake from being in motion, if you use your front brake, your front end's going to dive. Elaboration time. When you actually hit the brakes, you do not want to fully smash your fingers into the lever and pull it back as hard as you can. What you want to do is you want to slowly apply the brakes so you get a little bit of front end dive so that your bike compresses the suspension. If your suspension does not compress, what happens is when you grab a fistful of brake, the front end compresses very rapidly. And as your tire is slowing down and you're putting all this torque and this pressure on your front suspension, you're going to slam your front suspension down, which could jar the traction on the front tire. I'm not going to demonstrate that for you because I've done it too many times and I scare the hell out of myself when I do it. Just know that if you smash that front brake and your bike is upright, or you're riding in an upright position, and you don't allow that compression to hit, you will 50-50 chance of losing traction on the front tire. What you want to do is come to a controlled stop. So that means slowly applying your front brake until you have a nice even pressure. You don't actually have to continue to pull in on your front brake. Once you get to once you get to the right feel of where your lever is at, the bike will just exponentially slow down because you're just adding friction. And you're decreasing your momentum. So the bike will just naturally slow down even if you just lightly grab lightly feather the brake. It will just slow down naturally without having to add too much more pressure. When you come to a direct stop, that's when you can, kind of give it a little bit more oomph just to kind of come to a direct stop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down this hill and I'm going to show you and kind of narrate for you proper braking technique. Alright, first gear, second gear. Alright, I want to come to a complete stop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly grab the brake, and I'm not adding any more brake at this point. I'm not adding any more brake. It's just coming to a stop all on its own. Okay? Now you got to be careful if you come off the road like that and you don't stop in a straight line, because you're adding front brake on asphalt and then transitioning to dirt. You could lose your front end. Like your front end could wash out and I could end up in the ditch down there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do it again. First gear. Second gear. I'm going to come around a corner. So I'm going to lean a little bit into this corner. And then when I come up around the other side of the corner on the straight, I'm going to slowly apply the brake. So I'm in second gear. Brake. Clutch in. And it's just slowly gliding to a stop. I'm not adding any more brake. I'm not adding any more. I'm just grabbing it so the brake engages. All right, downshifted into first. So what you notice is when you do it with the rear tire, my bike is going to be hard to narrate this or to demonstrate this because my rear brake is actually linked to my front brake. So unfortunately, I can't demonstrate for you what happens if you do a rear lockup because this bike doesn't allow your rear brake to lock up. If I slam on the slam on the rear brake, it's actually going to apply my front brake for me. So unfortunately, I can't do that for you. But just when you're practicing, practice slowly applying your rear brake as well, and you'll feel the difference in how the bike reacts. It's not going to slow nearly as fast. It'll slow a lot more smoothly, but it's not going to slow as aggressively as it will with the front brake. Now the trick is you can use both brakes in tandem, and you will have to, especially going from really fast speeds sometime, you know, like 55 plus. If you need to make an emergency stop, like I'm going to do here at like 45 miles an hour on the straightaway, what you're going to do is you're going to use both front and rear brakes in tandem together. So 45 miles an hour, I'm just going to pull on the clutch. I'm not even going to shift. I'm just going to, okay. See how I let my front end dive a little bit? I let my front end dive, and then I added more brake, and then I jumped on the rear brake. So as the bike was slowing, I added the rear brake to help slow me down. So it's all feel. It's all going to take you time to learn how to do this correctly. Never brake in a corner that aggressively. If you feel like you're going into a corner too fast, it's because you don't have your line correct, or your body position's not correct, or you're simply carrying way too much speed into that corner. What you want to do is you want to brake before your corners. This corner, for example, I want to slow down here and then start to get back on the gas during my apex, during the apex of the corner.
At this point in the recording, the mic cut out, so we need to go into countersteering. Countersteering means when you're at speed above 10-15 miles an hour, pushing left will go left and pushing right will go right. The exact opposite of our slow parking lot maneuver speeds. This is because of the way that the motorcycle is constructed, much like a regular pedal bicycle. So if you ever want to practice, you can actually get on a regular bike and just pedal around and push on the left, you'll go left, push on the right, you'll go right. With a motorcycle, it's counterintuitive at first, and it's a little weird to think about, but your body will naturally want to follow the curvature of the road, and your mind will catch up to what your hands and your body are doing. As you progress, you're going to be able to feel that pushing harder in a turn on either the left or right handlebar will allow your lean angle to increase, allowing for higher speed, allowing for more maneuverability. The trick is when you start getting more advanced and you start getting in the 45, 50, 60 mile an hour, you know, starting to take some aggressive turns, you're really going to have to use the inside arm. So if you're taking a long right, you're going to push on your right a little bit harder and kind of let your left hand go dead. The same in the opposite way. You're going to, on a left hand turn, you're going to push mainly with your left hand and kind of let your right hand go dead. Your body will have a natural tendency to kind of fight both arms. So that's enough for now. I want you guys to take as much time as you need with all these tips. Stay safe, wear all your gear, keep it rubber side down as always, and just take your time. Don't speed through all this. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe.